Hello, everyone, and welcome to Western Conference Wednesday here at Locked On NHL. Today, we are talking about shattering glass ceilings and some pre-draft trade happenings, and we have plenty to talk about on today's episode of Locked On NHL.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everyone? I'm Jess Belmosto of Locked On Flames, and today I am joined by Brett Holden of the rival Locked On Oilers, and I'm so excited for this episode because we're talking about so many exciting things, but I also get to have such a fun sounding board to go back and forth with. So before we get too into the episode, I just want to remind everyone that we are on Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Audible, Odyssey, Apple. Did I say YouTube already? Anyways, whatever. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. And I am just so excited to talk about everything today. And oh my gosh. So Sunday, no, I lied. Monday. It was the holiday. It was the 4th of July. There were rumblings of the San Jose Sharks getting their guy, Mike Grier, as the next general manager. And this is a huge hire. Not only do they fill the vacancy, but he is the first Black general manager in NHL history. That is incredible.
Isn't that fantastic? I mean, first of all, a guy who was big in the NHL and an NHL player, a guy who was well-liked on so many teams that he played for. He has had front office opportunities as well. I mean, Mike Grier also has the greatest hockey card of all time. So not only does he have the culture of all cultures, this hockey card is for the culture, I should say, but just a wonderful hire. Again, a guy who is familiar as well with San Jose too, and just a great guy to add for the organization. And again, breaking barriers as well is a wonderful thing to see, and a theme for this episode evidently. But yeah, just a wonderful thing for Mike Grier, but he gets put into kind of an interesting situation in San Jose.
Yeah. So he is coming from the Rangers, who was a hockey ops advisor. But now he has a whole new can of worms to go through. The Erik Karlsson contract, which no one in their right mind is going to take. I love Erik Karlsson. I will always be an Erik Karlsson apologist. I don't care. That man could be stapled to the press box, and I'd be like, that's my man, ride or die for him. But he has quite the challenges ahead of him, not only, potentially moving that contract, but there's not a lot of optimism in San Jose. I would just even say with their prospect pool as shallow as it is, the Barracudas finished last in the AHL this past season. So I don't know what is the overall feeling that you have for this.
Well, and you touched on a good point is the Barracuda finished last place in the AHL, and you are a general manager of the San Jose Sharks, but you have other organizations to worry about. And it starts from the bottom all the way to the top. And that's something that Mike Grier is going to have to actually really face and really have to help and really work on. But the other thing for Mike Grier as well is the San Jose Sharks don't really have a lot of cap space. They have $5 million in cap space, just over $5.5 million, really $5.6 million in cap space. That's not a lot. That is not a lot. And they have 9 RFAs to worry about. Jonathan Dolan, a big name for them to worry about. Noah Gregor, who came on later on in the year for them as well. Zach Sawchenko, who played some games in the NHL for them. Capo Kakinen, who they got at the trade deadline. A lot of very important names that they have to go, okay, well, this guy could help us down the line, but here's that just over $5.5 million to work with. And then we also have that Erik Karlsson contract, the Brent Burns contract. And I mean, these are all, they have 5 contracts or 5 guys that have contracts over $7 million. And those aren't exactly the youngest or most spry of chickens in the league either. So there's a lot of questions going into this for Mike Grier.
Absolutely. And I don't think that you're going to get a true assessment of how he does as a general manager in this first year, because like you said, they have $5 million to work with right now.
Yeah.
Unless they somehow get creative. And I haven't done the math, but I don't think buying out Burns or Karlsson would really do you any favors, because you still have dead cap space. And until we see like a true cap increase, like if there was like $10 million like laying around somewhere that the league could just like give to every team, money isn't real. This is all like fake anyways. But, it would, even like $7 million would give them, so like that's $12 million to work with. That's great. Yeah. Considering most teams are working with a little bit more. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't. They have to get creative, and they're going to either have to let some players walk, beg someone to trade with them and become friends.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, and that's a big thing as well. And like to your point is, this summer isn't necessarily going to be the measuring stick for Mike Grier, because you got to remember the draft is tomorrow. It's on the Thursday.
Yeah,
like there's not it's not his scouts, it's not his team in there. You're going into you're going into the draft basically with not really a lot of knowledge on what the team philosophies are for rookies or prospects, what you need in this team from a prospect, right? So it seems like, and again, we're not in the front office, but when he's sitting there on the draft floor, is he going to be sitting there going, oh, we need this guy, I like this guy, I like this guy? Or is he just going to go, hey, you know what? You guys have done the work. You guys, you know who you want. You guys know the philosophy, and I'll work with it afterwards. Or again, there, like you said, he's coming from New York. Does he have that kind of maybe intel going, oh, again, New York isn't exactly a direct rival or direct interest to the Sharks, but you know what other teams like the New York Rangers are taking a look at, and you can go, oh, okay, well, hey, look at what this team wants.
Exactly. And I think, that's a really good point. He's inheriting another front office, and like you said, scouts, advisors, anything. So he could very easily say, you were out there all year and you know what this team wants inside and out. I trust you to make these decisions because I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. Plus, this is still kind of another year where these young kids are impacted by the pandemic and maybe missed playing time, maybe whatever the case may be. He could very well say, here are the reins. We start fresh July 13th. That's, totally. When free agency opens, that's when we're kicking this thing off, and have at it. But
exactly.
We don't know. We're not in the front office. I would be very, I'd be very interested to see what JD from Locked On Sharks has to say.
That's what I was going to say too. I was thinking that as well. Just before we move on, because it is the draft week, so we get a lot of moves, a lot of fun moves in heading into the draft. It seems like, and we're going to talk about one move that was made heading into the draft that is kind of interesting and has some people talking around the league. But what is one move or one need that you think the San Jose Sharks need going into the next season?
Goaltending. Because
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't see Nhl as a starter yet. I think he has the potential, but I don't know.
I agree. No, I agree. And again, Kaapo Kähkönen, one of those RFAs that they might need to worry about. Zach Sawchenko, an RFA as well. James Reimer might be on the way out to clear that cap space. So, yeah, a lot of uncertainty in the crease. But, yes, there was a move made, a very interesting move made by the defending. Well, no, I guess they're not the defending champs anymore. Let's go. Sorry. The Tampa Bay Lightning, a very interesting move made there. So we will get into that in just a second. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about our partners over at Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including, hey, MLB baseball is in full swing. We're in the summer. I mean, hey, the nice warm weather. I mean, July 4th just passed. I mean, I'm Canadian. I got the Canadian up here, or the Canadian flag up here. We get Canadian baseball with the Blue Jays as well. Edmonton's got a Riverhawks team, but the baseball season is in full swing. And why not take a look at some of those lines when you're sitting there in the baseball stadium? You'll love it. You love to see it. Catch a foul ball, have a hot dog, make some money. Why not? Bet Online is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and much more. And Bet Online remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, UFC, boxing, and golf. You can bet on golf. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
It seems like something that a whole bunch of like guys from the frat goes, oh, I'll just say $20 on this one.
Yep.
Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet Online, where the game starts. And I have a whole bunch of whiteboards all the time, so if I'm always moving stuff, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No. Well, you mentioned earlier in the show about the NHL draft, and this year we are doing an NHL draft show like usual. It's right around the corner, and our team of local hosts and draft experts are breaking it down with insights and analysis for every first round pick. Subscribe to Locked On NHL and, of course, the corresponding team of choice on YouTube for all of the latest on the NHL draft and more. The other day, I was minding my business, and all of a sudden, I get an Elliot Friedman notification. Now, I've been waiting for them to say, talks are heating up between Gaudreau and Calgary. But no. This one just comes out of left field, and it's Ryan McDonagh on the move. From Tampa Bay. I almost said it reverse. Tampa Bay to Nashville. So, you're still living in a very nice area, climate, whatever. Yeah. But this was a very interesting move because, Tampa has been in a position where they need to move cap space. And they talked about moving McDonagh literally right after the finals. They're like, okay, we want to see who we can build around. Will he be willing to move? He waived his no trade clause, which is, I think, whenever a player does that, I do think that it's respectable.
Yeah.
Because
totally.
It's not just for their own best interest. It's for the team they're playing for as well. And, a $6.75 million cap hit for Tampa. That's a good chunk of change. So, how do you feel about this? I mean, he's moving from east to west. He's what, 32? He just turned 32.
Which is still a pretty good age. I mean, I host the Oilers show, so I know a little thing about veteran defenseman Duncan Keith. And weirdly enough, that has kind of sparked a little bit of a conversation as to if the Nashville Predators were able to unload Felipe Myers and really a minor leaguer in Grant Mismash as well. But then you take a look at a move like for Duncan Keith, and you take a look at a second or third rounder, conditional second or third rounder turns into a second, and then as well as a full-time NHLer in Caleb Jones. But in this move, like you said, it's kind of interesting for a guy. They are moving cap space, but the interesting thing for me is the Felipe Myers move. He is not going to play for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
No.
He's gonna get bought out. That was the reason why he has been on a lot of this guy's going to get traded lists or top 10 most likely to get traded. And for some reason, Myers' name was always up there. Now, if you take a look at Myers, or if you know anything about Felipe Myers, he only played 27 games this season, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. So not exactly a name where you're like, oh yeah, my team's going to trade for Felipe Myers. So like, why is that a big deal? Well, like we just mentioned, he is going to get bought out, but you also get a little extra for buying him out. I believe it's about $800 million or somewhere in that range that you get for buying him out for some reason. One of those weird clauses.
Stop helping Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Brett, there are 2 conditions of being on this show. You cannot be advocating for Vegas to make like really good moves. You have to be like anti-Vegas. We probably should have gone over this in like your little interview, but it's fine. And then you just kind of have to be like, well, Tampa, we got to stop helping them too. Yeah. So, sorry.
And that's exactly that's exactly what this move does, right? And like you said, stop helping Tampa. Now, on the other hand, yes, it does also help Nashville, because take a look at their defensive core. You got Roman Josi, Matthias Ekholm, Dante Fabro. You throw in Ryan McDonough, Matt Benning, Mark Borowiecki, Ben Harper. That is a very solid defensive core. And they're only going to get better. And the unfortunate thing is now you got to take a look again, like you mentioned, $6.75 million cap hit, and that's all the way until 2026. They're a team they're trying to re-sign Philip Forsberg. They've got some interesting things to do as well, but that decor is beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. I don't hate it. I don't. I think that Nashville is getting a solid player. I know that people are, his age. Don't come around here with that, because I'm 26. I am in my prime, according to hockey statisticians. Whatever. I'm not old, but like, I don't hate it. Do I think it's going to possibly age like milk in the sun? Yes. Most contracts with over 30 players, that happens. Like the Chris Tanev contract with Calgary has the most potential to age like that. And I don't think Nashville fans should be worried.
No. And like you said, he's 32 years old. It's not like a 38, 37-year-old. Claude Giroux, one of the top free agents this year, 34 years old. I mean, Joe Thornton still bumping around here. Still bumping.
There's like Patrice Bergeron is turning, I think, 36.
Yeah.
I could be very wrong, but like a week, 10 days after free agency.
Yeah, well, exactly. And again, to go back to even Claude
He'll be
Giroux,
37.
30, yeah, there we go. 37, just like his number. The thing with Claude Giroux as well is after he turned 30, ever since he turned 30, 4 out of the 5 years since he turned 30, he scored 20 goals. So again, I'm not at all comparing Ryan McDonagh to
Right.
Claude Giroux, but there's still production to be had after you turn 30, after you turn 31, 32 years old. I mean, last year, 71 games played for Ryan McDonagh, who's an old boy whose body might not be there. 4 goals, 22 assists. 22 assists for Ryan McDonagh. Still
That's
pretty productive.
impressive. It is. And he's going to, and I would say, a healthier and younger defensive core. And, he was probably not going to play a lot with Roman Yossi, but I mean, you get some points with him. You're
Well,
gonna look like the best general manager out there.
exactly.
And I'm not worried. And I say this as someone who enjoys Nashville, enjoys their hockey and whatnot, but like I'm not convinced that this is bad. I just don't. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. One last point on this, I guess, or on Ryan McDonagh and the defensive core. Really, is you mentioned just kind of it's not necessarily the oldest defensive core, and just who exactly he could be playing with, Matthias Ekholm potentially, but a guy that I really like is Dante Fabro, a guy who played in the junior A leagues coming in through Canada, I believe. Yeah, he is Canadian, of course he is. Junior A challenges here for Canada as well. He went the college route as well. Just kind of the hard-nosed type of player, a guy like that Nashville likes. So, I mean, again, a very solid defensive core, and I think an underrated defensive core as well. I mean, Roman Yossi had quietly one of the best seasons in years, and still, I mean,
right. He's not getting the
there's
love
so much to say.
There is, and we could do a whole episode on like defensive cores that need more love and whatnot, but we'll see how this goes. And I don't want to be wrong, because that's like asking the pilot to like crash the plane or whatever. Like, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. But coming up next to wrap up the show, we are going to talk about some women shattering the wonderful glass ceilings and barriers in the NHL and the AHL. As a reminder, we are on Twitter. You can follow just kidding, you can follow me on Twitter at JustBelmosto. And Brett, where can people find you?
At the real Holden 40 on everything. I'm the real one.
You are. There's no
no fakes around here. No fakes.
Exactly. None of it. We don't tolerate that.
I feel like I should change it to the fake one.
You should. You absolutely should. So earlier today, it was announced that, now this isn't necessarily out of the Western Conference, but it is absolutely something that should be celebrated. The Toronto Maple Leafs promote Hockey Hall of Famer, 4-time Olympic gold medalist, Dr. Hayley Wickenheiser, to the assistant general manager position. And this is one of really 3 promotions that happened over the recent days. The Hershey Bears video coordinator was promoted to the Capitals, I believe. And, they're just incredible. And then, of course, Jessica Campbell, who also is a gold medalist, I believe, has been hired by the Coachella Valley Firebird as an assistant coach, making her the first woman behind a bench as a full-time coach in the AHL. A woman has never filled the role in the NHL, but I can absolutely see it happening
very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cami Granato was hired recently by Vancouver. Megan Hunter in the Chicago Blackhawks. And then there was someone, oh my gosh, Megan Duggan.
Duggan, yes. Emily Castagnier as well
Yep.
for Vancouver. Yeah, no, like you mentioned. First of all, with Haley Wickenheiser, let's start at the top with Haley Wickenheiser
Love
because
her.
I mean, as a child, I don't know exactly her ties to Edmonton. I think she is a Western Canadian, but somebody that I looked up to as a child. I remember the Edmonton during the lockout. Edmonton used to have the Edmonton Roadrunners for a season, and Haley Wickenheiser came through. And one of the best things as a child that I got was to touch her gold medal and to get a book that she had written signed
Oh my
from
God.
her. One of the best minds in hockey and for generations, has inspired so many, and she's going to continue to do so. And she's been in the Maple Leafs organization for a couple of years, and
Mhm.
honestly the right organization for her to be in, I think.
Love
As well, assistant general manager there, I could see her again maybe being one of those first coaches, maybe being one of those first full-time general managers, a real, I guess, just general manager, not assistant,
Yeah.
but yeah, certainly as well. And again, let's talk about Jessica Campbell as well. First of all, Coachella Valley. That's the coolest
That's so
place to be a
cool,
coach,
right?
right? Yeah, that is so cool. You get to be the first female coach in the AHL, in AHL history. You get to do it underneath one of the best coaches in hockey history, and Dan Bilesma as well, and really learn a lot. She came over from Germany, from the Nuremberg Ice Tigers over there as well. She was the skills coach over there, and then became the assistant coach as well, and coach Germany as well. So she has experience not only coaching, but she has experience coaching professionals as well, and
Yeah.
people who conduct themselves as professionals as well. And just there's like we mentioned at the start, this is seemingly an episode for breaking barriers, and you can't ask for anything better in the game.
Honestly, like I remember growing up and hearing people say like Hannah Storm is only on ESPN because she's a woman and like she has to fit this feminist status quo or the quota, whatever. And now to see women in these front office roles or behind the bench is so incredible to me because I never thought that this was possible 20 years ago. Like, I never, ever imagined this. And I am so happy for them. I'm so excited for everyone who, is the first this, the first that. But to be like, I don't know. Today just felt like a really good day in hockey news,
Yeah.
which is very odd. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen very often. So between, Mike Grier, uh, Dr. Wickenheiser, and
Yes.
Jessica Campbell, like it is just truly just one for the ages, I think July 5th is just got to celebrate it. It's so
Yeah.
exciting. It's, it shows that it's possible. Like that representation matters. So, the little black kids who, want to be in the front offices of hockey or to coach, whatever, like they have someone to look up to. Nazem Kadri being the first Muslim to win the Stanley Cup, that representation is so important. And of course, for the little girls who want to run front offices, we got this now. Like it feels real good. Feels real good.
I couldn't say it any better. I couldn't say it any better.
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Just it's a really good feeling to have just to be able to say, yeah, women can do it too. And it's just, I hope that hockey becomes more and more diverse and we see, brilliant minds in these roles, regardless of where they are and whatnot. Really make hockey a better place and growing the game.
Well, I have a shirt, and one of my favorite shirts that I wear. It's from the CFL, the Canadian Football League, and it says "Diversity is strength," and it truly is. And another one of those philosophical or philosophy quotes as well, is the only way that you're only really going to develop is by using diverse minds and by diversity as well. And that is the only way you're going to become developed or develop even more as an organization, as a person, as a league, as anything, is through diversity. And it's the best possible thing for anything at all.
Absolutely. And, I think that is a perfect note to end the show on, because for once, we're not talking about something so heavy that just feels like we have to beg for people to send us pet pictures to cheer us up after hosting this. But thank you, Brett, so much for joining me today. And where can people find your show and you on social media?
Yes, no, thank you for having me, Jess. Yes, you can find me at on Twitter at Locked On Oilers, as I am the Oilers host, and you can also find me, as mentioned earlier, on Twitter at that's not my Twitter, at The Real Holden 40. Ooh, almost gave something cool away. But also, you can also find us on YouTube as well at Locked On Oilers as well. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
Thank you very much. And you can find me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. Locked On Flames is the show's Twitter feed is at LO_Flames pod, and Locked On Flames wherever you listen to your podcasts. And thank you so much for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. And we have so much more to talk about this week with the draft, free agency, trades, buyouts, you name it. And thank you so much to everyone who is supporting our shows through the off season. We are so happy to have you here, and we will see you next week.